Hey guys, it's Alice here. I am a doula, a childbirth educator, and today I'm going to spin the big wheel of birth and see what childbirth topic we're going to talk about today. Let's do it. Okay, today we are talking about contraction monitors. Awesome. So we've been spinning the wheel for a while and we have covered the topic of contractions a couple of different ways. So we have a video I'd love for you to check out after this one on contractions, and then a second one about timing contractions with some special information about using a contraction timer app, which is this video. And check those out after this one is over. But contraction monitors today, I'd love to dive into how those work and the expectations of how you will be monitored when you are in labor. So the first thing is, it depends on your care provider, your circumstance, and where you're giving birth as to how your contractions will be monitored when you're in labor. So let's kind of start and just talk about briefly a home birth situation. And in a home birth, contractions are generally not monitored besides, or I should say electronically monitored. They are monitored just by sight, observing you in labor. And then as you have a contraction, they're probably timed, and they're noted. So that would be the least type of monitoring. And then a birth center is sometimes in between, where they might do more just manual monitoring with a stopwatch or a contraction monitor as on their phone, contraction app on their phone, and then might end up doing some contraction monitoring with our electronic monitors, where I'm going to go into in just a minute. And then at a hospital birth, it really depends on the care provider on how often you are monitored. But I would say if you are monitored intermittently, so if you have a low risk birth, you don't have any drugs in your system, you're not being induced, nothing hooked up on the IV, likely you will have your contractions monitored using, along with your baby monitored, about 20 minutes out of every hour if you are under a intermittent monitoring schedule. And that would be for low risk. Again, no drugs in your system, nothing going on like that. And then if you are being induced, being given Pitocin, augmentation, or have had any kind of IV narcotics, any kind of drugs in your system, or if you have an epidural, then you would have continuous contraction monitor and continuous fetal monitors. So you might have seen pictures of this too as well. And what it is, there are two types of contraction monitors. The one that's used most, and most people have experience with when they give birth, is an external contraction monitor. So it's about this big and it is made of plastic. It is put on a stretchy elastic belt that goes around your waist and then is usually put fairly high up on your belly, up on the top, which is called the top of the fundus of your uterus. And that is an external pressure monitor, where as the muscle tightens, the contraction monitor notices that tightening. And then if you see the screen on the monitor, you'll generally see the contractions look like waves as they go from low to high to low again. And those external monitors, the main thing I want partners to know about them is that if you see the screen and you're seeing those contractions go like this, they're not very accurate as far as how high they are, the intensity. So your partner might be experiencing a really strong contraction, but the contraction monitor only makes a little tiny hill. And so try not to pay attention to how high they are when it's the external contraction monitor. Now, it does give you a good idea of how often they're coming and sort of the start and the stop. And I found a lot of people say that it brings a lot of comfort to them to see them on the monitor. But then the other thing I've heard is, especially if there's no epidural going on and your partner is really having to work through them, then looking at the monitor can be distracting. And it's better just to look and help out the person that's going through laboring person. So it has kind of we've seen it both ways on whether it's helpful or not helpful. But contraction monitors, that's the external monitor. There is an internal contraction monitor, and what it looks like is almost like a straw that goes, you have your cervix has to be dilated, and it goes up into your cervix and just basically slides around the baby. It doesn't hurt the baby. It's very flexible, very bendable. And it is an internal pressure catheter, and it is more accurate as far as the intensity of the contractions because it's inside your uterus. So it really can can more accurately give an idea of how strong the contractions are. So most care providers use that external monitor that just sits right on your belly. But if your care provider is needing to know a little bit more about how strong your contractions are, if it seems like progress isn't being made in relation to how strong you're feeling them, maybe your cervix isn't dilating at the speed that they feel like it should be, and maybe they're trying to make a decision between adding some Pitocin to augment it. And we do have a video on Pitocin that I'll put here and in the description below. But maybe they're trying to make that decision. They might suggest an internal contraction monitor. And it's also called an IUPC, intrauterine pressure catheter. So both of those are options for monitoring contractions when you are in labor. And of course, when you're at home, you can monitor them with the contraction app. So let's see. I think that's it. Lots of topics have been covered on the Big Wheel of Birth, and I would love for you to have an organized way of finding the topics that are going to help you and that you want to look at. And so what we did is we put them all in a free course called Birth A to Z, and have the link below, and you can get in there and go right to what you're looking at or what you want to look at. So the contraction monitor would be in the section about what happens at birth. So you can find this video there. And we also have a section about anatomy and physiology. We have a section about how to deal with contractions. Lots of good stuff in there. Love for you to check it out. Now hit that like button if you found this video helpful and enjoyed the format. That would be great. I also love comments. And on the screen, you'll see a couple other videos that we did. And I think you might like to check that out if you like this one. Okay, guys, I'll see you next time.